Well, hello, everyone. Thank you for being here and welcome to the UMass Icons info session. We're so happy to see so many people registered and showing up today to learn more about this unique undergraduate certificate program. Um, my name is Wesley Dunham. I am the strategic communication and program manager for the program. I am the one staff person, so I'm the advisor, I'm the email guy, website, maintain our private iSpace that is a great study space for students. I do pretty much everything other than instruct you. So if you have any questions, please reply to the emails that I sent you, and I will do my best to answer them. Um, Today, we are here to learn about our certificate program, and we have our executive director, the Mahoney family sponsored executive director of ICON, Scott Auerbach, who is a chemistry professor and chemical engineering affiliated professor, and founding member of this program 17 years ago. And then we have a group of five current ICON students who are all going to be talking briefly and sharing a little bit about them and their experiences with the program and their experiences at UMass. So feel free to ask questions. If you want to raise your hand, I can call on you type deal on the Zoom. Or most people put things in the chat, and those will be answered in the chat. And anything of major importance, I will try to repeat and answer out loud so that everyone hears it if you're not paying attention to the chat. So again, thank you very much for being here. We won't be able to get to every single thing or answer every question. So if you have questions afterwards, again, please talk to me via email, or you can come visit me on the fourth floor of Letterly. It's a big white tower on the north side of campus, and I'm in room 430. So first up, I'd like the executive director, Scott Auerbach, to say hello and talk a little bit about what Icons is.
Thank
Scott.
you so much, Wesley. I want to thank Wesley for all that you do for Icons and our students. Thanks to all the Icon students who are here for making time to share their stories, and thanks to everybody else for making time to learn about Icons. Okay, so you can see I'm in my office right now, and I've been here a little bit about myself. I've been here as a professor. I'm starting this moment as we speak my 32nd year as a professor at UMass, which is mind-boggling that anybody does anything for that long, but I love it. And time flies when you're having fun. And the thing that makes my job fun is getting to work with students like you. And let me tell you how that works in Icon. So I'm going to share my slides. Here we go. See if I can do this. Share, share. There's my slides.
You see it?
And can you see them?
Yes. Get your laser pointer.
Good. I got my laser pointer because I'm a physical chemist and we love our lasers. And here we go. So this is the story of the UMass Icons program. And my goal here is to get you excited about this opportunity, so much so that I have to push start on my timer, so much so that you apply to the program when you come to UMass. That's the goal. Gotta apply. So Icons is a program that was born in the face of real problems, real world problems. And our mission is shown here to inspire a diverse generation. Diversity is critical. Diverse generation of innovators, because our old solutions aren't really working well. So we need some new ideas, just with the right attitudes and skills to solve problems facing society. So it's a problem-based focus. And I want to tell you why. There's no shortage of problems. I mean, the fact that we're still getting most of our energy, about 80% of our energy, by burning fossil fuels, that creates waste. And talk about waste. We're not able to ship our waste to China anymore to be reprocessed to make virgin materials. So we just have mountains of garbage piling up all over the country. That's not good. And then there's the specter of climate change, which redistributes water all over the planet Earth in ways that we don't expect. And our biggest use of water is to make food. So it puts food and water security at risk for billions of people. And then let's even talk about infectious disease or cancer or neurodegenerative or COVID. And then how about the specter of AI and how that's changing the world, changing the workplace, changing education? All of these changes are happening at a pace that we've never seen before. And I got to ask you, just question, I'm going to raise my hand. How many people are a little concerned about the future? I can't see you, but please raise your hand if you are, and I can feel your hand go up. Yeah. I mean, the thing that keeps me up at night is the fact that I'm not sure that our higher education approaches are giving you the skills and attitudes you need to address these problems. So that's what keeps me up at night. What gets me up in the morning and gets me excited is the fact that these problems, all the ones that I talked about, are great platforms for you to not only learn how to solve these problems, but to gain the kinds of skills that companies and grad schools are dying for. So the question is, how do we do this in icons? And the answer is very simple. It's right here. It is diverse teams of students working on today's big problems. Diversity is key because these problems are multifaceted and they require more than one, discipline. Like if we want to make a new biofuel, a new clean fuel, we need to know the biology of fuels. We need to know the chemistry of how we make fuels. We need to know the engineering of how machines work. Um, who knows there's not one person who's an expert on all these things. Instead, we need a distributed expertise of a diverse team. And so the idea of working in a cross-functional team is the way that is a best practice in industry. It's a best practice in research. And so we want to teach you that. And then the second thing is today's big problems. These are problems of your choosing. In icons, you get to come and choose the problem that's meaningful to you. And so that's a double benefit because you get practice working on these big, not the slice and dice problems that we, professors like to give you, but a real bona fide, multifaceted problem that you get to choose. So that's what makes icons special. So special that it's the only certificate program. So it's not a major because that would defeat the purpose. We want the diversity of bringing people from a range of different majors. It's not a minor, it's a certificate program. It trains cross-functional teams. So we take students from STEM, business, policy, and in our AI track, every major on campus. We go deep with innovative research. That innovation is key because, like I said, old solutions aren't really working well. We need new ideas, but we don't want to throw spaghetti at the wall. We want to do research to see what ideas are useful. We build leadership through student-driven learning. So you're in charge of your education. We're here to facilitate and support. We're not going to lecture at you. And we hone skills that companies want. At the end of the day, it's about instilling confidence. We hear students say, and we'll see it on the next slide, I'm confident I can do something real. So here's a bunch of reasons why students want to come to icons. They kind of break up into your experience while you're in college and your success after college. So while you're in college, obviously connecting different kinds of thinking or learning about different kinds of cultures or just working on real problems. You don't have to wait till you're a junior or a senior to work on something real. You can do it in icons in, let's say, your first year or your second year of college. And then regarding after college, at the end of the day, gaining skills that companies need or just hitting the ground running. So being able to add value to whatever kind of organization you join after college. And the big one is no matter where you are, instilling confidence that you can do real and big things. These are the reasons why people come. Now, you may have reasons that are not on the slide. Your reasons are just as important. So here's the structure of icons, and it involves the number 4. It's like a Sesame Street thing, brought to you by the number 4. And so we have 4 tracks and 4 steps. The 4 tracks are problem areas. So biomedicine, health of people, health of the planet. We can't have healthy people without a healthy planet. Sustainable energy and materials, trying to minimize waste and have a more circular economy in the stuff of society, the built environment. Food, water, climate, I already mentioned 3 words, one huge problem involving food and water security for billions of people. And then AI and the future of work, where technology and humanity meet. I'm going to talk a little bit later about the kinds of problems people are working on in these tracks. Now, in icons, we have 4 steps creatively named 1, 2, 3, 4. This is where you come in and you start working, practicing on generating your own ideas in diverse teams. Then in icons 2, you learn how to communicate, read, write, speak, discuss, debate on issues that are relevant to one of these problem areas. Then in icons 3, you prototype solutions. You actually try to build something where you quickly find out whether this is a viable solution approach. And then in icons 4, you see it's 8 credits because it's a year-long experience. That's like your big senior project where you pick one thing, try to move the needle on that with the help of a faculty member, and then you do all kinds of icon stuff to solidify the impact of your work. I want to mention that all of these courses count for things you need to take. We're going to talk about that. Probably you'll have questions, but this is Icons 1 counts as a general education course. Icons 2 satisfies the junior year writing. Icons 3 and 4 together will satisfy your integrative experience. You don't have to be in the honors college to do icons. About half of our students are in, half of our students are not, but almost all the icons courses carry the honors H if you are in the honors college. So they satisfy requirements. Now, you might ask, what is this good for? Where are the icons alumni working? Well, in short, anywhere they want. I mean, when you look at this collection of different companies and universities, Yale, Stanford, Columbia, St. Gobain, Thermo Fisher, Meta, Google. I mean, bottom line is with the skills you gain in icons and the stories you can tell about your projects, you distinguish yourself from other people from other schools who take the same major but who don't have the same stories to tell. So speaking of stories, I want to tell you 2 quick anecdotes about projects that people have worked on in icons. So this is out of the biomedicine track where 4 students got together. They met in icons 1. They got excited about an idea related to antibiotic resistance, which is a looming and very scary problem where at some point, bacteria will develop immunity to all the antibiotics we have and none of them will work. That's very scary. And they're working on a slice of this problem. And they got so excited about it that they actually used the entire icons program, all 4 steps to work on this. And they started a company. And while they were students, undergrads raised $70,000 for their company. So this is one example where you get excited about, you come into icons, you get excited about a problem, and you use the entire program to support your interest. Another example is out of the sustainable energy and materials track, where students are working to green the infrastructure of the UMass Amherst campus. You'll notice from this graph, which shows greenhouse gas emissions, that UMass Amherst is the biggest emitter of all agencies, all state agencies in Massachusetts, at 126,000 metric tons per year. And by law, by state law, we have to get that down to 0 by the year 2050. How are we going to do that? So icon students have been working on a range of different interventions, and they're learning not only about the technology and the science and engineering, but the economics, so that they can make pitches to university leaders that this is a good investment for campus. We're not done with this work, and so we need your help to really move this over the finish line. We also, as I mentioned, have 2 newer tracks in food, water, climate, and a big area people are looking at is climate-resistant crops and regenerative agriculture. A big thing that we do in large-scale industrial agriculture is called tilling. Tilling is where we attempt to regenerate the soil, but in the process, we destroy the microbes, and there's a huge plume of CO2 every June, every year. And so we're looking at ways to have good agriculture, good crops, and avoid tilling, so-called no-till. In the AI future of work, this is brand new. It just launched last year. And the future of education was front and center. Students really worried about how AI is going to change education, but I'm hopeful that there might be a way that AI could enhance it. So that just gives you a flavor of what icons is, how it works, and the kinds of projects that people work on. You'll hear more from the students about their projects, but I want to emphasize what are your next steps. Number one, come to UMass Amherst. So you're almost there. You'll be here. If you're not here already, you'll be here next week. So please do remember to come to UMass Amherst and then to apply. There's an application process, and my goal in this talk is to get you to be so excited about icons that you decide to apply. The deadline is October 13th. There's three short questions, something about your past, something about a previous problem that you were able to solve, what your problem solving approach is, and how that adds to UMass Icon, something about your future. Where do you think you want to go in your career in 10 years? Of course, you don't know, but you can guess. And how does Icons help you to get there? And finally, something about the present. What's a real world problem that has you motivated to come to Icons? What would you work on if you could come to Icons? I want to mention that there's a fall event every fall called the Icons Idea Slam, where a thought leader comes to campus to talk about a real world problem and get your ideas, your help on ways to try to solve it. The date will be announced soon. So please look at this website for all information about Icons. I want to finish just by saying, again, thank you so much for listening and thank you for your interest in Icons. All set, Wesley.
Thank you very much, Scott. I want to add one additional event to that list, and you'll hear more about it in an email later, is the application support session is a Zoom event where we go over the application, talk about the questions and things like that. So if you have any questions about that process, you can go on the Zoom call and we'll chat about it. We're not going to give you the answers or tell you what exactly to write, but we're going to be there for you to give you some tips and philosophies of some of these questions and be there to answer. So that is Wednesday, October 7th at 7 p.m. That event, you can register on our website. And again, when I send you a follow-up email, I will have that link for you as well. So thank you very much, Scott. We're going to now move on to our students and hear more from them or hear from them. So Bella, I'd love you to come off mute and say hello.
Oh, hi guys, my name is Bella and I'm an incoming sophomore and I'm majoring in chemical engineering. So I'm in the sustainable energy and materials track and I'm from Vietnam. Yeah. So a little bit about my experience with icons. So my experience with icons is that you get to work on a lot of different perspectives and it's just really fun getting to be creative and like come up with unique ideas for real societal problems. And it's also definitely a course on the lighter side. So you could really just be creative and connect with the people in your cohort. And the purpose of icons is really just to like build your foundation for like proposals, projects. You learn varying skills like how to collaborate effectively. And overall, I think it's an incredible opportunity and an incredible course where you could connect with people, not only your peers, but also with icons professors or their alumni, or even our directors like Scott or Wesley. And oftentimes, there would also be events that are specifically for icon students, like fun events like cookie decorating or just like simple opportunities for you to kind of chat with the people surrounding an icons. And so I think it's a really amazing program and it's also a developing and growing program. And so you get a certificate out of it too. So obviously it's an amazing opportunity. And so going into my second year at UMass, I've made a lot of new friends from icons and I've got to do like a lot of projects and a lot of cool things. And coming all the way from Vietnam, learning about UMass, learning about icons, and the varying opportunities that come with it, I think joining icons is has been a really big part of that UMass experience and has been a really big part in building my career and building my resume. And so I want to talk a little bit about what I've done in icons. And so I've only taken Icons 1. in my freshman year. And this stage is like the idea generation stage. And so for our first icons project, we did this project on making sustainable energy safer for wildlife and with a focus on protecting sea life. And so we targeted a lot of different questions like how is wildlife affected by sustainable energy and what are the types of sustainable energy that are most frequently used. And so from there, we kind of narrowed it down. And through that, we chose a topic on how to reduce fish injury through water turbines. We chose to do a literature review on this, but like I said, you have a lot of space for creativity and icons to do what you and your team would want to do. I've seen groups that have done a Spice Girls themed video presentation, and I thought it was like the most creative, like the best thing ever. And so, really, Icons is just a really fun, a light program to kind of not only fulfill your requirements, especially if you're an honor student, you don't have to be, but yeah, it's just something to keep in mind of, and it's just something to join, I guess. Yeah.
Bella, when you say
Uh-huh.
a light program, are you
Yeah.
talking that there's no books and lectures and exams?
Um, well, in Icons 1, I believe there wasn't exams. There are there are kind of lectures. Well, the professors usually just well, I believe it's more fun than it
Okay,
is just like a
okay.
normal lecture.
Right. So it's enjoyable to go to
Yeah, it's
class.
very
Right.
enjoyable.
And you're not sitting in a
Yeah.
300 person lecture hall just hearing and taking notes.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. I
Hmm.
wasn't and just so you know, I know you've only done icons one,
Hmm.
they are not lecture style. There are no books
Hmm.
and we do
Yeah.
not do exams. It's projects.
Hmm.
There are deadlines and things to do and turn in. It's not no homework, but yeah,
Yeah.
okay. You had mentioned that you had said lighter twice, so I just wanted to get at what
Hmm.
you meant by that. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm curious, you're a chemical engineer student,
Yes.
and um, in icons, you're going to work on diverse teams and learn to communicate. How do you think that's going to help you in engineering? Like, what are you going to take back to your program and your other classes that maybe you picked up in icons?
So thank you for your question, Wesley.
Yeah.
But I think that through icons, I get to see a lot of different perspectives from different majors, and everyone kind of brings their own unique perspective from their own major. So it's really, really great to see how, like, a public health major would see an issue differently from a chemical engineering major. And it's taught me a lot of foundational skills on how to write proposals, how to build on projects, and how, like, that's all very useful for my future engineering projects, and it's also um a a great opportunity to kind of reach out to not only like current peers but
Mhm.
also be able to reach out to other classes or like other professors within the icons curriculum to ask about my chemical engineering coursework as well.
Okay. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Bella.
Yeah.
All right. So now I'd love Xenia to, if you could come off mute.
Yes, hello. Hi, everyone. My name
Hi.
is Xenia,
Xenia,
and I'm
sorry. Thank
from
you.
Boston. And I'm a sophomore at UMass studying economics. For icons, I'm on the food, water, climate track. I chose UMass because of its research study abroad programs and other academic programs. And while at UMass, I'm part of Icons 180 Degrees Consulting and Navigators, and I'm actually hoping to study abroad next spring. While at Icons, I've participated in two mini projects and with two different groups of classmates with each varying skill sets and expertise. And this is probably one of my favorite parts of Icons. It's that you get to work with different students from different majors, different backgrounds, different experiences, and different expertises. For the two projects that I've worked on last semester in Icons 1, they were one about government involvement in natural disasters, and the other one was about women's health awareness. And so the first project about government involvement in natural disasters, it was a survey-based project, and in the short time that we had, we got about 50 responses, and we were able to use that data to compile it into a presentation, which we gave to our class at the end of the project time. The second was more of a physical experiment where we used a menstrual cramp simulator on participants to gather data and raise awareness to increase empathy towards women's menstruation. And again, for both projects, we had like a final deliverable presentation, which we were able to present to our class.
Wonderful. Yeah, I remember the menstruation project. Part of my role is ordering supplies and equipment and all the things for all the different projects. So I'm always fascinated, um, when I had to buy a muscle stimulator to figure out what that was. So wonderful to hear. Um, as you said, you were on the food, water, climate track. You're the sec part of the second cohort of that. And I'm curious, what drew you to the track as an economics and psychology student?
Well, thank you for your question. I think
Yeah.
the simple answer is to broaden my scope of knowledge and experience. This is another thing that I really like about icons is that icons doesn't make you do projects that are specific to your major, although they encourage you to include your studies in the projects that you pursue. For me, food and water are resources, and economic studies the exchange and the use of resources. And so I can imagine that my future in career involves optimizing natural resources to produce goods so that we can sustain a growing population. And so I think actually the two are very connected if you look at it in that way.
Perfect. Love that. Love that. All right. Wonderful. Um, that's great. Thank you, Xenia. I'm going to ask Precious to go on. Let's
Hi.
see.
Hi, my name's Precious. I'm from Springfield, Massachusetts. I'm an upcoming junior and my major is public health. So for my icons track, I chose biomedicine because I'm pre-med and it just sounded interesting overall. So I originally chose UMass because my two older siblings went to UMass and they had a great time. So like growing up, seeing them going to college, all the events, I was like, oh, I think I might want to go to UMass. It seems really fun. And from the way they were talking about the teachers, the campus, academics, the way they support students, I was like, oh, it's close to home too, so it sounds perfect. And so far, I've been enjoying it. I chose icons originally because I wanted to get more into research because that was something I was unfamiliar with. I had never done research at that point, so that caught my eye. I also saw like a ton of posters, and I was like, "What's this? This seems interesting." So I applied, and then I got in. And for icons, I like it because it's interactive compared to your other classes. Like you actually will talk. You won't just like sit in the back staring into the abyss. Like you're gonna talk, you're gonna interact with different people from different cultures, different states, different environments, and I feel like that's going to expand your perspective and help you check like different biases you may know that you had or you didn't have. And I think it's also interesting because UMass is like a really big school, so having somewhere to go with other people, which is still diverse but not overwhelming, helps you get used to the campus faster. And it also helps you like know who you can reach out to, which resources to go to, because there's so many different people on the icon staff who are willing to help you if you just send them an email or anything like that. So for my two projects, my first one was on natural disasters and how they affected UMass undergrads education. And then for my second project was on sickle cell and the understanding of public knowledge on sickle cell and the treatments because sickle cell isn't really a well-known disease. Like it doesn't have as much spotlight as other major diseases like cancer. So we really just wanted to understand what people knew about it and like, are the treatments accessible for the people who are actually affected by it? But yeah.
Wonderful. Precious, I had no idea your siblings went here. That's great. You're public health, and you just talked about your two team projects. One of them certainly was health related. When it came to the natural disaster, and you can talk about the sickle cell, um, how's your interest in public health? How did that translate to your projects? Like what, when you were on the team and you have a certain way of thinking about public health, how did that translate working with the team and on your projects?
I think it helped a lot because icons, there's different majors, right? So most of my group at the time, I don't think they had any health background at
Hmm.
all. So they were mainly like science-based. So I think public health looks at things from like a general scope while adding health to it. So for example, for the sickle cell one, in public health, there's something called social detriments of health, and basically it looks at the non-medical factors that may prevent someone from getting health access. And for sickle cell, it mainly affects people of color and people from lower social economic statuses. So being able to add that nuance to the conversation of, okay, these treatments are available, but are the people who are mainly affected by the diseases, are they able to get it? And if not, how can we help that? So I think having that understanding of public health helped a lot because sometimes people don't know the nuances or the non-medical things that might stop someone from getting help or access to health.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Precious. It was great to hear. I'm going to take just a sh short break from students just because there have been some questions. So, and I don't know if everyone's um, looking at the chat, but back to talking about exams and things like that, just to reiterate, at all levels, there are no exams. These are project problem-based classes, and Scott did a wonderful write-up of sort of on a general scope, like, you're asked to write a problem, what is your problem, your research, how are you going to carry out this research? And then when you're done, you have a final poster, a final report, and you have reflection, what went wrong, what went right, what could you change next time? And that is what you get, graded on is your participation, your effort, and getting those things done. Um, Someone asked about, just the general timeline of classes so that you can do other things, study abroad or projects. Our classes, we are not a large program. We're not biology. We don't have 25 sections of every class. So we do not, for most people, you will not have a class every semester. If you are a first year student on a typical path, you will have one class a year. And depending on your track, it'll either be in the fall or the spring. So there will be times when you do not have an icons class. You will still be an icons student. You will still hear from us. You will still get all the benefits of being a student, but you may not have an icons class that semester. Uh, a reminder, you do not have to be in honors to be in icons. About 35% traditionally come into icons in the new cohorts um, with honors, and we graduate, it's typically around 50%, and that is because of attrition or students join honors while they are here. So they don't start out, but they finish. All of our classes are honors classes. They have the H, so if you are in honors or thinking about it, it does help you to be in icons. You'll get, those classes taken care of. All right. So thank you again, Precious. I'd love Daniela to come off mute and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi everyone. I'm Danny. I am a computer science major and I'm also minoring in natural resource conservation, which is also in the College of Natural Sciences. I'm a rising junior and I'm on the food, water, climate track for icons. I'm from Cape Cod, Massachusetts, so I'm an in-state student.
Mhm.
Um, and then other things I do on campus, actually a student ambassador for the Honors College. So I know very well about how icons fits with the honors track if anyone wants to ask some more questions about that. And I am also on the executive board of a club in the College of Computer Science, which is Women in Informatics and Computer Science. And, in addition to all of that, I am getting the icon certificate, which I think is also like a really big part of my education. Because I want to be a very interdisciplinary scientist. That's the main attraction for me in icons. As you can kind of tell between my major and my minor, I'm kind of split half and half between my computer science focus and my environmental science focus. And I really wanted to do a lot of research in my college education. And I found icons as the way, like the best way to help me do that and merging my different interests. So that's the biggest reason that I'm doing icons, especially in the third and fourth year is when I believe you can make your own research project very specific to what you want to research. And so that's when I'm focusing on kind of the intersection of the things that I want to study on.
Wonderful.
So, sorry, go ahead.
No, no, you go. Yeah.
Okay. I was just going to talk about my experience so far. So I've completed icons one and two, and they weren't directly related to my areas of focus, but they have given me so much background knowledge about how to conduct research and how to work in interdisciplinary teams, which I think is also really important to me. So in the first year, I did a research project on the kind of different like biases about socioeconomic classes in health because our overarching topic was like health in America. And so my team decided to conduct an experiment where we actually use like an AI chat bot with different um, accents and dialects, and we called different dentist offices to see what the time was until we could get like an appointment. So that was very intricate, and we ended up getting different results. It wasn't actually what we expected to get, but then we were able to elevate our research to a different level, and we got different results like that. So it's just a semester, but you can actually do a lot in one semester. And just it goes to show how you can really do whatever you want with your research. It's very student led and it's whatever your team decides they want to do. And then in the second year, it's specifically about scientific communication, which means you kind of learn how to write a research article from start to finish, from the introduction to the conclusion. It's very, very specified, which is obviously very important if you want to go into research. My project for the second year was about the influence of biochar and phytoremediation, which is very kind of environmentally focused. Again, not like my biggest area of expertise, but it was super great to do another hands-on experiment and learn from my teammates who were doing very different things from me, but I still was able to learn a lot from them. So that was a really great experience as well.
Wonderful. Thank you, Danny. We've actually had a few discussions about this, and you talked a lot about the classes you've done. Is there anything else you want to add about how icons classes are different than, um, let's say, a typical class you would have taken in computer science or environmental science?
Yeah, so I would say, as I kind of mentioned, icons is really student led. So you're not sitting there listening to lectures all the time. In the first year and I guess the second year, you do have maybe half of the class starts with like lectures from the teacher, but then it's very much like working with your team members. And besides that, it's research. It's very hands-on. It's as hands-on as you want it to make. You can either do like a literature review or a survey, anything like that. But it's just like you're actually going out and doing things as opposed to just sitting in a class, taking notes, doing assignments, that kind of thing. Which you'll realize like once you go through school, it does end up being most of the classes that you're taking is just completing assignments and it can be very engaging. But icons is just like completely different in the way that you're actually like going out and doing things. I think for most people, you don't really get to do that in your classes until maybe junior, senior year. So it's really awesome to be able to do that from the jump from your freshman year in icons.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Danny. This is very helpful. Um, okay, our final student, Amina, rising senior, if you'd like to take
Yes.
it away.
So hello everyone. My name is Amina. I am a senior at UMass and I'm double majoring in food science and managerial economics. I'm also an international student, so I grew up between Senegal and Ivory Coast, and I'm currently in the sustainable energy and materials track. So I joined Icons my second semester of freshman year, and it has been a very, very rewarding part of my UMass experience. And I initially joined because I really wanted to get that hands-on experience and also grow as a researcher and really get all of the tools that I will need for me to be an efficient researcher. So I got to work on a lot of different projects through these past years, and my most recent one has been working on investigating amoeba motility. So we got to learn about genetic makeup of amoeba, but also on the hands-on like side and wet lab side, I worked on investigating different environmental stressors that could impact amoeba motility. So that was very, very interesting because it's not really my background. And I really got to learn about being more adaptable, how to learn quickly, and also collaborate with different backgrounds. About UMass in general, so what drew me to UMass was the food science program, and coming into here, what really struck me the most was the support that you get into the different products that you want to work in. So other than icons, where you really get to take an idea to the next level and have a tangible impact, I also got like a lot of supports for different products that I've been working on. So yeah, that's a
Great.
little bit of my experience.
Well, perfect segue to one of those projects you're working on. Um, and I apologize, and please correct me if I use the wrong terminology. You are creating or have created a snack bar or some sort of food bar. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So my sophomore year with a few of my food science folks, we started a granola bar business. So we make granola bars that are targeted for women's health, and we got the opportunity to present to different pitching competitions. We got some funding to help us for product development efforts, and we also started to sell our bars in farmers market. So I think that to kind of circle back on project like timeline and just like workload in general, although icons like you get to work on those like hands-on projects, you still have time to do other things on the side. And I think that that's like also a great example.
Wonderful, thank you. And because you are our resident senior on the call today, I'm curious if there's anything unique or interesting about the program that perhaps doesn't get talked about or has been overlooked that you want to tell us about.
Absolutely. So through icons, we talk a lot about the projects that we work on, but I think that like I really want to emphasize on the transferable skills
Mm.
and the tangible transferable skills that you gain through icons and that are going to be very useful in your career in like different careers that like you would want to take. And either it is in academic or in an academic setting or in an industry setting. So like to like give specific examples, last semester, other than my project with icons, I also worked on two different research projects with my PI. And the skills that I was able to learn through the icons project, so whether it is project development, collaboration, or the hard skills like coding with R. I'm not the best coder, but with icons, I got the chance to actually develop that skill. Those skills were absolutely very useful in my other research projects, and my PI actually got me into other projects because like I got to develop that skill too, that toolbox of skills. And other than like the academic route, I also was able to use those skills in an industry route. So this semester I work in a food science company, and one example is also my boss was talking about working maybe on the timeline, and then I just talked about, oh, we should maybe do a Gantt chart. And those are things that really, those are skills that really set you apart as a student, and that also helped me like to set me apart as a student in that industry setting. So yeah, I mean, other than like those hard skills, like the soft skills as well that you develop through icons, so presentation skills and collaboration, problem solving, those are things that are tangible. Those are skills that are going to actually set you apart. And those are also skills that are transferable in a wide range of careers. And that's why like I'm really grateful for icons because it really did help me to set me apart.
Well, wonderful. Thank you very much for that, Amina. All right, we're getting near the end of our show, so I'm going to tackle a few questions that people have asked. Some have been answered in the chat. One thing I want to let people know when it comes to the application process and getting into icons, we are trying to look at you as a student holistically. We do not look for the highest GPA. As I said before, we don't look at honor status. Those things do not come into play with the application and with who comes into icons. Our students are typically wonderful students, but we run the spectrum of GPAs. We run the spectrum of um, you know, educational background. Not every student has taken 7 AP classes or gone to science Olympiad tournaments across the globe. Some students are from rural America or from charter schools, private schools. Everyone comes in and we have a lot of different learning abilities and students on various, neuro spectrums and things like that. So Icons is a wonderful home for everyone. But we want to look at you. What do you bring to Icons? What do you think you're going to get out of Icons? We don't just take 4.0 students who are in honors. So, um, you know, I want to clarify that so everyone knows this is not a elitist per se. It is selective because we only take 144 students for the cohort. Um, but it's really about the diversity of the student body and who you are and how you problem solve. All right. There's been a lot of discussion about the teams that, students have talked about teams. One thing I know, we might have planted a seed when Scott talked about the micro blasters because that team was formed in Icons 1 and continued. That is rare. There have been projects that have been born early and you know grown throughout the years. We just had a student, Esther, graduate last year, and she came up with an idea in Icons 2 in the junior year writing class about using botanicals within medicine, which is a very Eastern medicine. She is from an African country, and that is big in her country. And so she worked on that in Icons 2. She pitched the idea in Icons 3 and got a very large team to work on botanicals. And I think their focus was on women's health with the use of botanicals. And then her and two other students used the idea in Icons 4. One of them, I believe, used it for her honors thesis, and two of them received independent study credits. They were all working on different parts. I think all three were different majors. Two of them might have been biochemistry, but I know Esther was biology and another one was biochemistry. Um, so it can happen, but that is not how Icons is constructed. Most teams form within a class, and you will have 1 to 2 projects in each class, and those teams can change. Now, if you pitch an idea like those other, and you can carry it on, but it does not, we're not structured so that that is the typical. Teams are typically built with a perfect number of 4. With it, if it's less than that, if it's 3 or you lose the diversity and too many, you have too many thoughts and processes and too many cooks in the kitchen. But there are some times where teams are 7 or 8 students. I think Danny mentioned one of her groups was a large group at one point. That's rare, and that's up to the instructors, and they weigh the balance of diversity and who's going to work on what. But that comes out in the classroom. So hopefully we got all that. Other questions have been around second year students applying to the program. Um, you do need 2.5 years left, so that's why we open applications to first and second year students. In how you fit those classes, if you're a second year student, is you typically double up Icons 2 and Icons 3, so that's the communication course and a prototyping lab experience, one project course. You do that your junior year in a typical model. All right. It's very doable. I think Scott highlighted a little bit in his presentation that Our classes hopefully and should count for other things. These are not meant to be additional credits on top of your course load. We attempt to make our classes as credit neutral as possible. Our Icons 1 classes, there's two different versions. One is for our AI track. That is a general ed requirement SBDU, Social Behavioral Diversity within the United States. And Icons 189H is for all the other three tracks, and that is an interdisciplinary gen ed. The communication class for all four tracks is a junior year writing. And so far, that has been accepted as a junior year writing for every major we've worked with. Now that we're branching out to the humanities and more social sciences, I work with those departments, but we have not had any issues. So that should count and replace your junior year writing. So you don't take that. The prototyping lab classes have, for depending on your major, will take care of a tech elective, upper level elective, 300 level lab, and that is up to your department to determine that. Icons cannot say what it takes care of within your major. But for a lot of majors, especially STEM, it does help you and replaces a class. The combination of icon or the prototyping lab and an Icons 4 class give you your integrative experience requirement for most majors. That's IE is one of our acronyms here at UMass. Every undergrad needs that, so you can get that through Icons. And so again, we try to make things as credit neutral as possible. Are there any other questions right now? I have a few more things I could ask. Someone asked about interactions between cohorts. I'd love Amina to talk a little bit. Amina is a rising senior, as I said, and she is one of our newest Crowley Noack scholars. It's a scholarship program within Icons, but she's also basically like a leader within the program, and she is tasked with doing this, providing community for Icon students. So there is communication between cohorts. So Amina, I know you haven't really, you're just starting it, and we've had some emails over the summer, but what do we try to do within Icons to have connectivity and community?
Yeah, so yeah, as you mentioned, I got the honor to receive the Korinoic Award this semester, which also comes with a scholarship. And I get to work with someone in another cohort, Bart. And through like the Icons program, you do get to interact with other cohorts. So through different events, I know that for, RDs from last semester did a couple of events like cookie decorating where course get to interact together, exchange on their different experiences as well. So there are opportunities for you to maybe like not work directly with the different cohorts, but you do get to interact with like different cohorts.
Wonderful. Another way we do try to carry on the education, and Scott wrote this in the chat. There are opportunities sometimes to continue work that has already been done from someone older within Icons. Um, our instructors, especially if they stayed for several years, will know what people worked on. There's occasionally times when upper level students will give talks, and freshmen and sophomore students can go listen and they can say, wow, that's great. I want to get involved with that. And we also have, I think I referenced it earlier, we have a space on the fourth floor of Letterly Grad Tower. It's a large white concrete building on the north side of campus. We have our iSpace, and it is an Icons only study space, welcome space. We have a lot of events in there. It's a wonderful place for teams to meet. We have Zoom, there's two big screens. I've seen students watching, I think they had Olympic soccer on 2 years ago, because this was the past World Cup was during the summer. So they were watching football on our screens. We have snacks. We have a refrigerator, a microwave, pencils, feminine hygiene products, a little free library, Legos, Trivia Pursuit. We try to make it a nice experience for our students. And it is an Icons only space, gets good use. It is technically open 24 hours as long as you can get in the building. So that's another way that students can get to know and meet each other is because they're sitting in there and you might just start chatting. So we do try to build community that way.
Yeah.
Um,
And to extend a little bit more on
yep.
that as well, so there is a really great sense of like solidarity and camaraderie within icons. So other than like your cohort, like you really get help from other cohorts as well. Remember last year, I wasn't really sure how to approach my research, and Wesley actually connected me with Esther, and their group was really helpful into like giving me like a great direction on how to approach my research, how to reach out to PIs if I want to do something that is more independent. So it's really great community where you get to really like ask questions and yeah, get help not only from Scott and Wesley, but also other students from other cohorts as well.
Wonderful. So we are nearing the end of our time. I thank everyone. I do want to just real quick do a couple bullet points. I stated before the accepted, oftentimes people ask about acceptance rate. We accept 144 students. It is free to join. This is not a cost program. If you do take a lab, like any lab, there are lab fees associated that you pay in your bill, but that's not an Icons thing. That's a UMass thing. There's no prerequisites. You don't need to be an expert programmer to be in the AI track. You do not have to have any lab experience. I think someone mentioned that, maybe Precious. You don't need research experience from high school to join. There are no prerequisites in that sense. So I'd love to just ask Scott to come on, unless you're typing, and just give us some final words of wisdom.
Well,
Yeah, no pressure.
that's no pressure.
All right,
Oof.
just words.
Okay. Words. Okay. Thank you. Just words. Thank you. Thank you. Phew, having some imposter syndrome there. Okay. So, first of all, Wesley, students, everybody, thank you so much for spending this hour. I hope everybody felt like they got something, and I hope everybody felt like they could see themselves in icons. Um, I just want to share with you two things. One is the concept of all hands on deck. The kinds of problems that we're trying to address in icons are those kinds of problems. We need all hands on deck. We need every single perspective, every single major, whatever lived experience you've had makes you a superhero at something. And we need your superhero power in icons. So if you're wondering, do I belong in icons? Do I have something to offer to icons? I already know the answer. The answer is yes. But the one thing is for sure is that if you don't apply, you're not going to get in. So please apply. The second thing I want to tell you is the job market is fierce. I've never seen it like it is now. And so, what employers are looking for is a student who has that special spark, that experience in doing something real, so that they can jump in to the job and start adding value. And that's exactly what we train in icons. So from the standpoint of, do you belong in icons? Let me think. Yes. From the standpoint of, do you need icons? Let me think. Yes. So for that reason, please, please, please apply. And thank you again for taking your time to be with us today.
Thank you, everyone. The application is live on our website. No points for getting it in early, so take your time. Enjoy the process. Enjoy UMass. Get involved. Have a great fall. Bye, everyone.